Hey, do you ever feel overwhelmed when you are trying to choose colors for something, whether it's your clothes or your painting or, your garden? Me too. And I think it really does have a lot to do with the fact that we know a lot. We know a lot about color. Sometimes I think we know too much about color. And this is color theory from the inside out. And by inside, I mean your preferences, your experience, and your empowerment. Today we're going to go through 5 different ways to select a palette, and one of them will be a traditional color harmony rule, and then 4 of them will be potentially ways to get out of your head regarding traditional rules. So hopefully you will learn something, and you will also be invited to try something that you haven't done before. What makes these 5 ideas so special is that they are directly drawn from images and questions that some of you have sent to me. So if you've already been here for the first couple of these sessions together, then you already might have your studio color notebook, and this would be a great time to go grab it and grab some markers or grab paint, whatever you want to work with while we are working together. So if you are just stopping in today, then let me tell you about the studio color notebook. This is a tool that you're going to have for yourself if you choose to do it. And it's either a 3-ring binder, or it could be like a sketchbook. It could be anything. It could be, spiral notebook with just lined paper. We are not precious around here. So it's just a place for you to have studies. And these are some of the studies we've been doing together. I've done a couple since then, some other color combinations. Ooh, and that's from today, from the intro. So, why would we want to do this? Why would we want to have this random notebook full of just basically messing around with color? And I have not found anything more powerful than this personal compendium of color. It is the best way that you can start and maintain a conversation with yourself about color. And this can either be conversations with yourself about your preferences. It can be getting to know certain materials, getting to know how certain colors work together. There is no replacing just hours and hours of experience. And if we are only approaching color theory from a very conceptual place, that is frankly awesome, but it also is not a good, or to me, an effective place to actually start painting. And I assume that not everybody watching this is a painter, but I am a painter. So I'm coming at this from a painter's viewpoint. And I really think that the only way to work with color, the only way to learn how to work with color is to work with color. And so, and I guess play with color, but play with intention, play with concentration and taking yourself seriously. This is great work. And then after you do all these color studies, you have this resource for yourself afterwards. And it's like having your own color lexicon. You have notes, you have experience. It's almost like it could be even like a travel journal in a way. You're fondly looking back on your memories of all these things that you tried out. It's just the best. So if you don't already have a studio color notebook and you're watching this for the first time and you're not lying in bed, then you could potentially just go grab literally any color implements in your house. It could be highlighters from your miscellaneous drawer. It could be crayons from your kids' pencil bag. So anyway, just grab something and start doodling, really. Especially if you're the kind of person who would doodle in class, because, we're kind of in class, I guess you could say, and there's no need to torture yourself and sit and just watch me. Let's do stuff together. We live in an incredible time where we have no lack of access to information, right? And so I don't think it's from the lack of access to information that makes people feel overwhelmed or hesitate or be concerned about choosing the right color. So um, it's something else, right? And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we were taught early and perhaps often about some very important rules about color. And I was just talking to my friend the other day, and she has a creativity camp that she does with some kids, and a 10-year-old was already saying like, "Oh, I don't know which color to do. What's the right color?" Right? Like, what a bummer. Think about a 3 or a 4-year-old. They're not concerned about getting the right color. And so I think that while we have a lot that we can learn and be empowered with in terms of knowledge, I think there's some things that we also might need to unlearn, or we need to kind of shift uh, our relationship with what we know, so that it is a tool rather than a rule. I hope this series brings you a little reprieve from this sense of right and wrong that comes with Western culture and our color theories. And I would like for this to happen in the context of learning about color theories as well. And so we're going to have to strike a certain balance where you're feeling activated and energized and inspired, and then also learning things, and that can be a little bit uncomfortable. And in fact, I think it might be worth it for us to also explore and go right on to the very edge of wrong in order to find our true right that is from within. Our first idea for developing new palettes was inspired by this swatch that was sent to me by Spirit Unlimited. Spirit Unlimited looked at a favorite cup and some favorite paintings and pulled colors from there to make little color swatches. And I thought this was a brilliant idea. I mean, you know that you love this thing and you love the colors of this thing. So not only do you get to capture some of your favorite things that you like about the thing, but it also gives you great opportunity to try to color match what you see. Another cool thing about this particular set of colors is this is a nice way to have a palette and show how the colors interact each other in stripes. It's one really cool way to organize. And as you can see, not all the stripes are the same width, because you can also play with quantity of color in your palette. Next up, we have Mariah, aka Yoga Party House, who is on YouTube and on Instagram. And she used markers and had not tried this before, layering with markers. And she said she had so much fun and hadn't realized how many different shades that she could make with only 3 colors, and felt like she just totally got lost mixing all the colors. And even it reminded her of when she was a kid, and the idea of being able to crack the code on a lock by just trying every combination, starting from 111 and then 112, 113, layering them on top of each other and that kind of combination. And I just love that. And so I love to see this. I love all the colors that she came up with here. But I also love that she chose a completely new medium. I mean, she had never tried to layer with markers before, and she got this kind of magical thing happen, and took her to a whole new place. Here was Jan's discovery last week. She uses watercolor pencils and decided to get them all out and pick the colors that she's not used because they are still at the starting length of the pencil, as in not having been sharpened. And she found that she was surprised that even though they were a totally random mix of colors, that they seemed to go so well together, and she'll definitely be using some of the color combos in the future. I like how she also labeled her colors and took notes because she'll be able to go back and use this as a resource later. And I find in general that it's lovely to have both experiences. One where you're just fully exploring and not even thinking too much, and another one where you're a little bit more analytical and keeping track and keeping notes. Love them both. And I love seeing all these little combinations in different orders and like different
combinations. Doria is an artist recovering from art school, and she's also a designer, trying to remind herself to slow down and play. And it this is a color combination that she sent to me a couple of weeks ago, and I had missed it before, and I love seeing it now. This is a great example of choosing three colors that you really love and you love how they go together. And this sort of a purple, orange, and green is a classic secondary color combination. And but as you can see, she has variations of each of these hues, like the orange, there's like this peachy one, there's a brown one, and there's one that's even lighter. And I think she must have used either watercolor pencils or Caran d'Ache wax pastels that are water soluble. And so it's really fun to see some of the the variations in color that she was able to make, either by like laying down color, but then also adding water. And I could see how this page that she worked on could have been this really lovely moment of just getting lost and then getting a sense of different ways that you could explore with this trio of colors. Stacy and her son had so much fun working on color wheels last week. She sent me several photos, and I especially love this one because I can see how her son there on the left chose a couple of favorite colors from whatever mixing that he was doing. And then on the right, you can see that Stacy also found some favorite colors, I think mixing the same from the same primaries. And look at that, the two of them made completely different palettes. It's just going through the process of making your color wheels might kind of trigger something in you and make you realize, oh, I really need to work with this color.
So there are 5 ideas of ways to choose a palette, and I would like to suggest an optional homework assignment, an activity for you to try this week, and that would be in your Studio Color notebook, choose or explore a palette or palettes and find one that you are really excited about. And then as a bonus, I would like to invite you to try a color combination that somebody brought up in the comments last week. And it happens to be a color combination that I also really love. And I'm not going to do a spoiler. I want you to have the chance to try it before I tell you why it is so cool. And so the bonus is try mixing together using either oil, acrylic, watercolor, or gouache. Works with all of them. Try mixing together quinacridone magenta and phthalo green blue shade and just see what happens. If you feel like going above and beyond, you could even try all 5 of the ideas this week. And you could send them all to me because guess what? I am interested. Your palette can be anything. You could just have some stripes, you could do swatches, you could make a chart of some sort, you could make a color study, you could paint something, however is exciting to you, whatever you feel like doing. There is no wrong way to do this. Someone asked a really excellent question, and I went back to look in the comments to see if I could remember who said it, or actually, really, I wanted to remember exactly how she said it, and couldn't find it. But essentially, she was saying, I know that one thing to do is to use complementary colors, but then how do you choose the third one? For example, purple and yellow, she said, and my favorite color is teal, so I guess I could add that. And I think hopefully I have reiterated it, clearly enough. On her behalf, I decided to give it a try, and so I will show you now what happened.
Turns out I don't think I've ever just used violet, teal, and yellow as a trio from which to make a gamut of colors. So this was really fun. I found it to be a very intriguing trio, and enjoyed exploring the combinations that it could make.
But let's circle back to this idea. She brings up the idea of complementary colors, and I have a feeling that very, very, very many people know what complementary colors are. That means if you look at a color wheel, this is a traditional color wheel of yellow, blue, and red. It would be a color that is opposite, on the opposite end of the wheel. So directly opposite, orange and blue. We've learned that before, haven't we? Green and red. And this is yellow and purple. This is not the best purple, or it's not the most violet purple, I guess you could say. Same thing goes when you have the more modern color wheel that is based on yellow, cyan, and magenta. You would go across the color wheel and you would see that it would be the green is actually going to be opposite magenta, and then red is going to be opposite a more blue-green. And this is not like, I just painted this the other day, so it's not really the most, I guess, accurate color wheel using cyan, magenta, and yellow. But I'm just going to hold on to this one anyway. So like, let's say, so if we start with yellow and violet, and then use her favorite color, like let's say cyan, let's say that's teal. What we have here is something that's opposite each other, and then one that's just like right over here. Usually, when I think about three colors, I think about them being kind of distributed evenly around the color wheel so that they have the greatest potential of a variety of colors. Unless you are doing something, unless you're doing one of these color harmony ideas. So color harmony ideas have been taught in many a design and art class. And you've probably, if you've heard of complementary colors, then you might have also heard of analogous colors, which would be sharing part of the color wheel and being kind of next to each other. And so I am going to stop there, because the minute I start talking about these harmony rules, protocols, it starts to shut down a little bit. So I'm just going to do those two right now. I'm just going to name those two, where it's complementary colors is an option, or analogous colors where you had like a yellow, green kind of thing, and then all the colors in between. Those are two ideas for palettes that you could do. And I'll talk about the other ones, but we're just going to take it slow. This whole color theory from the inside out is actually, for me, a subset of an idea that I am developing called slow color. And I guess if you're going to be learning color theory from the inside out, it might take a little bit longer. And so it will be like a slower process, but then you will learn things more deeply. That is my hope. So anyway, yeah. Once you find a palette that excites you, then I would like to invite you to email it to me at colortheory@annelivingston.com. And if you want to include your website or your name or your socials, you can. If you want it to be anonymous, that's totally fine as well. And if you also want to say anything about the palette, share your thoughts about it, please do write something to me in that email as well. So I hope that you have a great week of exploring color. I'm so glad that you're here, and I look forward to seeing you next week for Color Theory from the Inside Out.